Here's how I started off my first semester of college, alright? I started off my first semester of college failing one class and ended up finishing off with a 1.75 GPA. Yo, what's good, YouTube? It's your boy Brian. Yo, back with another video. Hey, look, you guys, as you see by the title, I am going to be doing my full college experience. This is all going to be about my first year of college, alright? And look, I only need y'all to do one thing for this video. Make sure you watch the whole video through, okay? So, because I'm going to be explaining everything from top to bottom, left to right. I'm going to do it all, okay? So, look, all you got to do is watch the whole video. I'm not going to tell you to like or subscribe to the channel if you haven't even watched the video, alright? So, just make sure if you new or if you're a returning member, yo, watch the whole video. Hey, look, I don't know if y'all ready, but I'm ready to get into this video. So, look, it's your boy Brian with the kid. We finna get straight into this video, man. Alright, y'all, so how I'm gonna start this video off, I'm just gonna give you guys the juicy part of the video, okay? Here's how I started off my first semester of college, alright? I started off my first semester of college failing one class and ended up finishing off with a 1.75 GPA. Now, I know y'all wondering, yo, how did that even happen? So what I'm gonna do right now, I'm just gonna explain everything that happened, alright? How I ended up failing this specific class is, it was a math class. So I know a lot of people, you know, they don't like math. I used to be that type of person, alright? So like I said, it was a math class. It was a college algebra class, as a matter of fact. So basically, like, I say how I failed the class was, one, not really studying as much, and when I did study, I didn't study in the correct way, and I'm gonna explain what that means. So basically, in that class, we had to take 4 tests, alright, and then we also had the final exam. But in between those tests, we also had homework that our teacher would give us, okay? And when it came time for me to actually like study, what I used to do, I would just look at my notes the whole time. Like, I wouldn't do any type of practice problems or anything like that. When it came to homework, I'm not even gonna lie to y'all, I kind of like cheated on my homework. So that's kind of like already set me up for failure. And I kind of always had this thing on me that I had faith that if I were to hop on the test, I'd still be able to pass it without even studying. So we're gonna skip to when the first test happened. The first test came up, right? And after that happened, let me tell y'all something real quick. I ended up getting a 30% on that test. I came into the test having all the faith in the world that I was gonna pass it without even studying, some way, somehow. And I ended up getting a 30% on the test, alright? That's just the first test. In between that time, I kind of was still doing the same thing with studying, like not doing any practice problems at all. And when it comes to math, I learned that, yo, you have to do practice problems if you're gonna actually learn the material. You feel me? Because you can just look at it, but if you don't actually do it yourself and practice it, trust me, you are not going to learn it. So basically, in that time, like, I did not do anything. I basically didn't study well. I wasn't studying as much, first of all. Second of all, I wasn't even really studying like that. And when I did study, like I said, I was just looking at the notes. The second test came, right? Guess what happened? I ended up getting a 34% on the test. Only 4% higher from the first test. So after that, I'm sitting with 2 Fs in the class. And the way the class was also going is the tests were 60% of the entire class. The homework was 20%, and the final was also 20% as well. So I can do all the homework and even pass the final. But if I got all F's on all the tests, I was still failing that class regardless. So after that second test, I went to the teacher and I asked her, how can I, you know, do better in the class? And she kind of saw like my flaws and how I was studying. And basically she told me what I needed to do. And it's like, I took in the information, but it kind of went in one ear and went out the other. You know what I'm saying? So when I did go back to study, I did use a little bit of her strategy, and that was to actually do practice problems, but that's just not what I did. I almost didn't even do that. You know what I'm saying? I may have did a little bit, but I almost barely did it. So with that being said, coming on the third test, right? I did use her strategy, so I got a little bit higher in grade. I got a 59% on the test. Now this was a good increase, but guess what? I still got an F on the test. So right now I'm sitting in her class with an F. I had 3 Fs on the test. We have 1 more test to take and a final. So at this point, it almost looks hopeless for me to pass. But I still continue to try anyways. So after not listening to her strategy, after not going to her again about it, the 4th test came up and I finished off with a 61%. And just to skip a little bit more ahead, basically y'all all know, like, I failed the class basically. At this point, I already knew I failed the class. I got an F on basically all the tests. And that's exactly how I ended up finishing off with that 1.75 GPA. I'm gonna let y'all know what I learned through that time period. What I learned is that you can have faith with going and taking your test. You can have faith in that you're gonna pass your test. But here's the thing, if you don't actually put the work behind it, then guess what? None of that is gonna matter. And after failing that class, that's when I realized that exact word that I just said. Faith without works is dead. After that, I took the time in the winter time. It was winter break. Took that time away, and I really like planned how I was gonna come back from this huge failure. And on top of that, I almost forgot to tell y'all, I actually ended up finishing off with 2 B's, 1 F in that math class, and then a D in a whole nother class. So that's really how I ended up getting that 1.75 GPA. So winter break basically goes by, and now it's time for spring. Now I did plan on taking the math class once again, the Mac 1105 class. I took that in the springtime, and this time I had a whole different mindset coming in. I remembered exactly the strategy that my teacher told me from last semester, and I also ended up using the strategy that my new teacher actually taught me that I can use. So we start this class, and now it's around the time where the first test is here. How I ended up doing on that test was I got a 68 on it, and the reason why I got a 68 is because I kind of fell back into my old habits of doing, like, studying the way that I shouldn't be studying, and that kind of made me get that 68. Now, it was the highest percentage I've ever reached as far as a math test in college, but I still was not satisfied at all. What I ended up doing is I started taking it a lot more seriously, and I started grouping up with friends. Friends was a huge thing that helped me out. I grouped up with friends. Also, I took in the strategies that were given to me, the tools that were given to me. I finally put them to use. Me and my friends, we would go to the library, spending hours practicing problems, actually doing what our teachers told us that we needed to do. And for the second test that came up, y'all wouldn't believe it, I actually ended up getting every question right on the test. I had it was out of 100, right? And I ended up scoring 107 out of 100. And that was like so insane, because I realized like all I had to do was use exactly what my teachers gave me. And I don't know if you guys are dealing with anything like this or have dealt with anything like that. If you can relate, comment down below, and even like this video as well. But after that second test, I realized that I had the capability of being able to make it happen, being able to pass the class. So on to the end of that semester, I ended up finishing with a B in that class. Thank God, man. I finished with a B in that class, and I basically proved to myself that I was able to do it. And I also ended up finishing that semester with 3 A's and 1 B, okay? And on top of that, I ended up being on my president's list. It's kind of like a dean's list saying like how good you've done in a certain semester. So I got that, and I felt like it was just a huge turnaround from that first semester that I had in college. Now, I did say this video is a full year of how my first year went, right? So we're gonna talk about this summer semester real quick. Now, around the time of summer semester, you know, it's obviously the summertime, right? And I would say the summertime is when I really started taking my YouTube channel seriously. On top of that, I actually work at a job. So I couldn't work, and you guys know with the whole pandemic going on, I couldn't work at the job whatsoever. And they actually called me back right before my summer semester started. And on top of that, I'm really active in my church. Now we're doing church online, but I'm still really active in like the youth ministry. So I'm just doing all these things, and I'm active like three to five times a week. So just keep that in mind as I'm explaining this summer semester. Summer semester rolls around. This is virtual, right? I'm taking 4 classes for the summer. Now that's extreme. Honestly, I don't think I would really do it again because I felt like I had no summer, honestly. So I wouldn't do it again personally. But I was taking 4 classes on top of work, on top of YouTube and church. So with all that being said, some way, somehow, I ended up finishing off with all A's, yo. I finished off with all A's for my summer semester, and that kind of capped off my first year. So I started off like completely bad with that 1.75 GPA, and I made it a whole turnaround, finishing off with a 3.3 GPA now. All A's, and I'm like so excited because I really proved to myself that I was able to do it. But honestly, this video and me sharing this story is not even about me really. I just wanted to share this story for you guys to hear, for you guys to use it as inspiration. I know that a lot of you guys have already went back to school. Some of you guys are about to go back to school. It's only Saturday right now. I'm going to school on Monday. So I'm getting ready to go back to fall semester for my second year of college, and I just really want to use this video as an inspiration for you guys going back to school, and just to do great, you know, do great, try your best, you know what I'm saying? Like, take up from my story how I made it a whole turnaround from a 1.75 GPA to making all A's. You know, like, if I can do a huge turnaround like that, having school, work, church, and YouTube, like, you can do it as well, okay? And that's really all for this video. Look, if you watched this whole video and you really enjoyed it, just make sure you give this video a like, and also subscribe to the channel if you want to see more content like this, like sit down videos or whatever, okay? And also, what I want y'all to do is comment down below what grade you're about to go into. So if you're in college, just let me know what year you're about to go into. If you're in high school or you're about to go to high school, just let me know what grade you're about to go into. That's all you gotta do. And also, for the final thing, make sure you share this video with somebody else, because you don't know who else would love to see a video just like this, with me sharing my story and me just using it as for inspiration. So look, that's all for this video, y'all. I hope you guys really enjoyed it, man. Look, y'all don't know how I do my outro if you're new to the channel, but if you already do, you can start cranking up right now, because look, it's your boy Brian. Yo, hey y'all, I'm out this thing, man.